Hello and welcome to the first episode of hopefully many of the 4 Stars 5 Teams podcast. I am your host, Windy City League. Now I wanted to start off this episode with just introductions of who I am, and I'll do more if this gets good reception. Before this, I went by Illini Guy 34 on another YouTube channel, and I did do a bunch of stuff related to like Transformers, cartoons, SpongeBob, and also commentaries. I've deleted some of those videos, and the ones that I've left up, people will say, oh man, I grew up watching this and it was really fun, and I am flattered. If I could go back in time, I would probably redo everything there, like actually script and edit properly, because I had no scripting or editing skills back then. The commentaries, I used to do slideshow commentaries, and if you know what those are, you'll know that that is the lowest form of entertainment possible. It is just, and the community attached to it. Well, when the face of your community, that being a user by the name of Doodletones, was caught helping a bunch of groomers on the basis that they're friends, well, no one should trust this community anymore, especially when none of them, and I mean none of them, have publicly denounced Doodletones. Honestly, in my eyes, they're all just creeps. Some of them will pretend to be nice people, but they're major douchebags. If you ever see any of them, stay away. just stay away. Awful people, all of them. And I was in a commentary group. It was known as Federation of the Exalted, and I was also in another called Order of the Dim-Witted Doves, which folded. If I could go back in time, I would make sure that I would never meet any of those commentators. Just to save myself the trouble. Let alone maybe I would do more in Federation of the Exalted. I don't know. I was too busy with real life stuff anyways, like college and work, whereas these guys were just chronically online all the time. And nowadays they'll say that I'm a manipulative person. No, it's just I will say stuff that they do not want to hear, because they don't want anyone else to know that they are just the biggest piles of feces known to man. Frankly, they should all be fitted for orange jumpsuits. They are disgusting. How about you actually come out and disgrace Doodletones? How about you do that? Although, it's been 2 months since Doodle was officially outed and said, oh, I'm leaving the internet to better myself. And, and you see the comments section of the video, I think it was called, like, finally doing the right thing. And you see so many people trashing Doodle for all the right reasons. And, contrast this to my final video on Illini Guy 34, I'm back, but don't get used to it, where I basically say, I'll be aware of what's going on in the comment sections. I'll still use this channel to comment on videos and like videos, but I won't be uploading anything because, frankly, the spark for anything related to the channel is just gone. And people understood. People were like, I'm really happy for you. I hope you do better. I only had one negative comment, whereas everything else was positive. Whereas Doodle had mostly negative comments of people that were rightfully pissed that someone that they had looked up to was a total monster. As you probably could guess from the username Windy City League, I do live near the city of Chicago. I actually live north of the city, which, that's fine. I do like all 5 Chicago teams, just because of exposure. Like, my dad's side, they're all Cubs fans because they're all from north of the city. And my mom's side, they're Sox fans, and they're from south of the city. So you can see, I would be exposed to a lot of both Cubs and White Sox stuff. Of course, Bears, that one's logical. Bulls and Blackhawks, although I will still support the other teams in the area. My favorite college by far is Illinois, the Illini. I mean, if you couldn't tell my previous username, IlliniGuy34. It's pretty obvious which college I like. I don't mind Northwestern. They're just there most of the time. Although, if they're facing someone else, I will support them. Like the times that they've made the tournament, just be on the basis that they are a school from the state. But if they're playing Illinois, I want Illinois to absolutely destroy them. Doesn't matter if it's football, basketball, or whatever. Now, I will still support teams like the Fire and the Red Stars. I don't really follow soccer. I mean, I've been watching a lot more soccer lately, especially in the break room at my work. There's a lot of Hispanic coworkers that I've got, and they love football. They love it, love it, love it. Most of the time they'll watch like international matches, but watching it with a group of guys that are into it definitely has changed my perspective. Now, does that mean I'll, become a full soccer fan? I've been easing into it. I still got to get a feel for it. I'll still support the Fire, and I'm also glad that they went back to red, because when they went to blue, I'm just like, why? In addition to moving back to Soldier Field when SeatGeek Stadium, whatever the heck it's called in Bridgeview now, was made for them. But after a while, the new ownership was like, well, we don't like how far we are from the city. Deal with it. This is where the team chose to build their soccer-specific stadium. And now the Red Stars, they want their own stadium because they don't even have priority at SeatGeek Stadium, which is insane, especially when they don't have the Fire to deal with. I don't know. Will they get a new stadium? I really don't know. The Chicago Sky. I always have supported the Sky, even though for most of my life the WNBA has been a clown show. Although this year, the buzz with all of the draft picks for this year's rookie draft class has been worth the hype. Angel Reese has been a beast, and of course Caitlin Clark, and Cameron Brink was also great. Before she got injured. Things are actually looking up. I never thought I would be able to say that about the WNBA, but here we are. I'm actually genuinely surprised. And, I also did support the Chicago Bandits women's softball team, before they folded with their league. I know there's been some other softball leagues forming, so hopefully the Bandits do get reinstated. That'd be nice. They had Jenny Finch. That was pretty cool. And yeah, I do also watch golf, although most of the time it is if nothing else is on, or if, again, like soccer, I'm in a group setting with a bunch of other guys that are into golf. Doesn't matter if it's PGA, LIV, men's, women's, doesn't matter. It could even be a celebrity golf or senior golf tournament. Tennis, I've also known a lot of guys that are into tennis. I know I'll watch tennis. Tennis is a very entertaining game. So it's not just the big four North American sports. I do watch other sports on occasion. Does that mean I follow them religiously? No. But frankly, I will still look at the positives and the entertainment that, comes out of tennis, golf, soccer, and what have you. Even bowling. I love watching professional bowling. If there's anything I miss about ESPN Classic, back when I lived with my parents and they had cable, it was turning on ESPN Classic early in the morning and watching bowling. Oh my God. I love bowling. Bowling's awesome. Now, sports tubers that I do like, I do watch a lot of other sports tubers. Urinating Tree, 5 Points Vids, Tom Grossi, Brandon Perna, and Scooter McGruber. Those are ones that I all like. I don't know if any of them have ever watched my channel. The only bigger channel that I know for sure has watched my content is Baseball Doesn't Exist. He actually used my video about Majestic replicas in his video about why the MLB jerseys have the Nike logo on the front. I think it was why Nike paid $1 billion to have this, something along those lines. I put it in my community tab, and I'm sure if you're not familiar with Baseball Doesn't Exist, you can just find it on his channel. I appear in like the 3 minute and 23 second mark. That was that was awesome. So yeah, I know at least one big YouTuber for sure has watched my videos. Any that I don't like, this isn't more so a channel, it's more so a person. I like SB Nation and Secret Base, though they make entertaining videos. I can't stand Seth Rosenthal. I don't like how he is as a person. I don't like how he presents his videos. It just rubs me the wrong way. I can't really explain why. I don't know. If it's made by anyone else not named Seth Rosenthal, it's usually better. But if it's a Seth Rosenthal video on SB Nation, count me out. Count me out. Now, you might also be wondering, why talk about jerseys? Well, I've always liked them, and like I said in my very first video, it's always the first thing that you'll notice about a team, visually speaking. And, well, I guess when it comes to my 5 teams that I watch on the regular basis, they haven't changed their looks at all in my lifetime. There might have been minor tweaks, like numbers being moved from the sleeves to the top of the shoulders for the Bears, and of course the C's migrating on the shoulders of the Blackhawks, and some other minor stuff. But besides that, they've looked the same ever since I was born, which was in 1995. So yeah, I'm 29 years old, so there's that. I am married. I do have a loving wife. Also got a dog and a cat. We're trying for a kid. If the day it is confirmed, I will let you all know, because that will be a very exciting day. It's an exciting day that will match my wedding day. Let's put it that way. Back on topic. My favorite part of uniforms is definitely colors and variations, hence why I advocate for alternates, because, your home and roads, that's fine, but alternates, you get to see more. There's just more visually. I love the colors that alternates can have, and, I do dislike the colors of some other alternates. Of course, throwbacks, that's a classic thing that, ironically, the White Sox invented, although they called it turn back the clock. That was, it was 1990 when Old Comiskey Park was closing, and Jerry Reinsdorf was like, well, why don't we bring back old uniforms for a day? And I guess it caught on, although I've got a bit to say about Jerry Reinsdorf later. My least favorite aspect of uniforms, minimalism. I'm so sick of minimalist stuff being made these days, especially from Nike. You can't just put out something that's just one block of color and little to no detail on it. I'm talking about stuff like the Arizona Cardinals 2023 redesign, the Jazz 2022 redesign, the Rockets 2021 redesign, and the Cavs recent redesign, where it's just blocks of color with no details, and they just look very plain compared to what came before. I just don't understand why this is the way to go. Now, could I be missing something? Yeah, I very much could be missing something, but from my aspect, that's my least favorite thing. I guess in second is ads, although I guess it was only a matter of time before ads started popping up on North American jerseys. It already affected MLS after the recession in 2008, when they finally made the jerseys look like Euro jerseys and essentially turned them into billboards. So, stuff like COVID and strikes, I understand that, but doesn't mean that I have to like it. Now, I do like putting patches on my jerseys, and lately I have been putting ads on my basketball jerseys. Yeah, it's a bit of a sin, but I don't know. I like doing projects like that, and I'll find any excuse to do anything like that. Now, how my teams are doing. This is the worst year for this city's sports teams since 2019. This is embarrassing. The Cubs honestly can't decide whether or not they want to be a good or a bad team, whether they're selling or buying, because they traded Christopher Morel, which considering how his attempts to swing at every stinking pitch, even if it's like 5 feet above his head, like he's Javi Baez. Yeah, like ship that off before it becomes even more problematic. Just come on. Bellinger was supposed to really be the piece to, put them over the edge after he had an incredible year last year, after people just wrote off Cody Bellinger as, he's not going to do anything. Well, last year he was really good, and this year, he might get traded now, which that's just not the way to go. You can't do that. And Dansby Swanson, what's going on with him? Like, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. And at best, they'll end with a .500 record. That's the best case scenario for the Cubs. Otherwise, this has been a letdown of the season. Now, speaking of letdowns, the White Sox. The day I'm recording this is July 31st. The White Sox have lost 17 straight games. This season, they had a 14-game losing streak, and they beat that. This past Saturday, when the White Sox lost Game 2 of their series against the Mariners, MLB on Fox's cameras spotted a fan in the stands with a paper bag over his head, a Mariano's paper bag, by the way, and a shirt saying, I hate this team, with the exploding scoreboard graphic on it. That pretty much sums up everything with them right now, from Jerry Reinsdorf to the personnel that they put on the field and in the front office. Jerry Reinsdorf does not have that much time left on this planet. Like, my grandfather passed away last year. Jerry is not that much younger than him, so the day that Jerry does pass away, the White Sox are getting sold. There's no doubt about it. And they're trying to get a new stadium. They were trying to push this new stadium thing before the season began, and I just thought, why? The stadium they've got already is fine. Oh, but it's not getting in seats. Well, maybe if you actually put a competitive team out, and I mean competitive as in they can actually get first or second place and be guaranteed a playoff spot every freaking year. That is competitive. Not, we're just going to play it by ear and just BS the fans. That is why the stadium is always empty. That's why you will never have the attendance that the Cubs have. The Cubs have the luxury of all their yuppie fans going to Wrigley Field, even if they're in last place. There have been years where the Cubs have been terrible, and you will see that stadium packed every single day. The White Sox do not get that. They actually have to compete. And the unfortunate thing is, for most of my life, they have not been doing that. They've had good teams. They won a World Series in 2005. But for most of these years, they have been a joke. And there were years where they looked fine, but they were mid at best. That 2009 team, man, they had some really good pieces. It's just too bad that Detroit and Minnesota finished better. And of course, they made a lot of trades. Eloy Jimenez to the Orioles. Thank God. Remember that episode of SpongeBob Chocolate with Nuts? And, there's the guy that says, I was born with glass bones and paper skin. That is literally Eloy. This man cannot stay healthy to save his life. It's, when he's good, but my God, what happened? We traded Jose Quintana to the Cubs for him and Dylan Cease, who's in San Diego now and threw a no-hitter this year. I do admit, if Dylan Cease was still with the Sox this year, he would not have thrown a no-no this year. No way. And, back to Saturday, I was watching the game because it was on Fox. I was at work, because we don't get NBC Sports Chicago at work, but we do get channels like Fox. And I'm watching Eric Fetty. I'm like, wow, this Eric Fetty guy looks pretty good. Now he's with St. Louis, along with Tommy Pham. I just got to say this to the White Sox, especially Chris Gates. Of all the veterans that you could have brought in for this team, Why Tommy Pham? Nobody wants Tommy Pham. Not even Tommy Pham wants to be Tommy Pham. He is such a pass-around guy, unlikable. He can't stay on a roster to save his life. And now him and Fedde are with St. Louis. And then there's the automatic home run pitcher, Michael Kopech. He's been traded to the Dodgers. Good. Now the Giants have someone to practice BP from. If at the All-Star game they could have the pitcher be anyone that throws automatic home runs, it would be him. We traded Chris Sale to the Red Sox for him and Yoan Moncada. Moncada has not worked out. He's also had the injury bug too. Kopech has also had the injury bug, but he was supposed to be a great pitcher, and it's like he can pitch, but every single time I'm watching TV, whether it's game highlights or the game itself, he's throwing a pitch that gets crushed for a home run. Crushed for a home run while the team is up. And now they're losing because Kopech threw a meatball down the middle that got crushed 500 feet to left. It's ridiculous. Like, how can you be so bad? So bad at developing players, dealing players. Like, it all goes back to the top. It all goes back to the top with Jerry. And some people may say, well, why do you still root for this team? That's just what fandom does. I'm not a bandwagon jumper. I'm not a fair weather fan. I've known plenty of fair weather fans, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm not going to drop a team just because they're doing bad. If it's a team where I have no incentive, then, whatever. But here I do have an incentive. So it's like, I don't want to hear it. Although, in other news, Jose Abreu and Tim Anderson are still unemployed after Abreu and Anderson were cut by Houston and Miami. Zoink, Scoob. The Caleb Williams era has begun, and frankly, what I love most is enthusiasm. This guy is the most enthusiastic draft pick I think I have ever seen. This guy, he actually wants to be here. And, there's been other where they're like, oh man, I'm really happy to be here, and, we're going to try to win Super Bowls. This guy really shows it. The claw thing that he did at the draft, that really shows how much he wants to be here. And of course, saying the Bears. Say what you want about Caleb Williams. There's a lot to be said. I love his enthusiasm. He's also a lot more enthusiastic than Malik Neighbors with the Giants. That he does not want to be there. He's either going to get traded like Tony, or he's going to ride out his rookie contract and sign somewhere else. That's one of two things that's going to happen with Malik Neighbors. Now, my feelings on Caleb Williams, it kind of mirrors that of a certain Chicago great, Derrick Rose. When I was a kid in 2008, of course, like I mentioned before, I love Illinois basketball. Illinois basketball was not in a great place. They lost the finals in 2005 to North Carolina. In 2006, they got knocked out in the second round to Washington. And in 2007, they got knocked out of the first round by Virginia Tech. Now it's the 2007-08 season. You were supposed to have Eric Gordon be on the team, but he deferred to Indiana. And oh my God, I still hate Eric Gordon to this day for that. And the Illini are struggling. And the only way that they could make the tournament at that point was if they won the Big Ten tournament. Well, they get to the Big Ten finals and they lose to Wisconsin. And in the meantime, you see Derrick Rose, who's from Chicago, playing for Memphis. And it was one of those things where it's like, you got this local guy, and he goes elsewhere. I'm sure I am far from the only person that's experienced this, but it really pisses you off when you see a local guy go elsewhere, and the local team that you support could really use a guy like that. So I was very bitter about Derrick Rose for the 2007-08 college basketball season. And then, of course, with the first overall pick, who do the Bulls draft in the 2008 draft? Derrick Rose. At first, I'm like, okay. And then when I saw him play, it was like, whoa, this guy can play. Youngest MVP ever. Of course, then the injuries really got to him. But still, for a period in time, I drank the Derrick Rose Kool-Aid. I mean, I own a Derrick Rose jersey now, for crying out loud. And the same is happening with Caleb Williams. I did not like Caleb Williams when he was at Oklahoma. And, of course, I doubly didn't like him when he was at USC. I don't know. There was just something didn't seem right to me. And, with Justin Fields still just being potential and, thinking of how things were going, I'm just like, maybe it is right to let go of Justin Fields and draft Caleb Williams, especially since they were gifted the first overall pick because Carolina was just hot garbage last season, and maybe for the foreseeable future, we'll see. So, yeah, he's looked good in training camp. There's been some hiccups, but it's training camp. Not everything is finalized. So, this should be exciting. Now, when it comes to other things like ownership, Virginia McCaskey is over 100 years old now, the owner of the Bears. That's very impressive. This is the daughter of George Halas. She's owned the team for far too long. It was originally supposed to go to George Halas Jr., but he passed away, so Virginia got it instead. And then, of course, George, Papa Bear passes away, and Virginia is now in control of the team, along with her husband, Mike McCaskey, who, if you say Mike McCaskey over here, you will hear a lot of four-letter words. That's putting it lightly. And, of course, this isn't exactly a hot take when I say the day Virginia croaks, George McCaskey is selling the team. Her son George is putting the Bears up for sale. I do not see him turning into Rocky Wirtz. He does not come off as that sort of person. Every time you see a picture of George McCaskey, it looks like he doesn't really want to be there. Like, the only reason he's there is because his grandfather is the reason for the Bears and the NFL's existence. He'd rather be probably sitting on his couch or something. I do not get a winner in George McCaskey, at least not with the Bears. And let's go from one Jerry team to another, from the White Sox to the Bulls. Obviously, I think the same about Jerry. Now, my uncle also follows a lot of this stuff too, and he thinks that when Jerry does pass away, his son Michael Reinsdorf will sell the Sox but keep the Bulls. I guess I kind of see that. They do seem to put a little more care into the Bulls than the White Sox, especially when it comes to contracts. But this offseason, you trade Caruso for Josh Giddey to Oklahoma City, and that's it? You don't even get draft picks? What? You release Andre Drummond when before that, Philadelphia was offering draft picks for him. You say no, and then Drummond signs with Philly, and Philly doesn't lose anything. And now, you've traded DeMar to Sacramento, and no one wants Zach LaVine or Nikola Vucevic because those contracts that you have for them are stupidly expensive. The Vooch one absolutely pisses me off. We gave up 2 first-rounders and other players, including Wendell Carter Jr., for him with 1 playoff win. Yeah, I have not been impressed with Vooch. If it were up to me, I would swallow whatever dead cap he has and cut him. He is... I can't stand him. I really can't stand him. And Zach LaVine, the guy plays his heart out, but the contract that they gave him, wow, it's really backfired. The guy's had health problems, and while he can't play, with the guy injured that much, that's no good, now is it? Blackhawks. now they are rebuilding and are doing it properly instead of trading everyone almost immediately. Their draft haul this year has been pretty good. I was impressed. There were people wishing it was Celebrini or whomever, but San Jose was going to get Celebrini regardless. I want to see how these guys get developed, and of course, we don't have to deal with Stan Bowman anymore. Of course, Stan Bowman's last FU to the team was signing Seth Jones to this ridiculous contract that, of course, we can't get out of because no one wants to take it on. Anywho, enjoy Stan, Edmonton. I can't wait to have probably Connor McDavid on the team sometime soon, especially with them. Stan Bowman is going to waste the rest of Connor McDavid's career. It is absolutely going to be hell for the Oilers. You're just coming off of a cup loss where you could have done the reverse sweep, but you didn't. And, well, you hire Stan. Why? And I'm not even going to bring up the Kyle Beach stuff, but just go ahead and look up Stan Bowman's absolute, F-ups, and you will see this guy should be nowhere near the position of a general manager for any team in any sport. At least we got Tara Vinen back, absolving that sin. Anyway, to the WNBA, Angel Reese is actually proving herself, and I'm very impressed. I really like Angel's play on the court. At the beginning of the season, I was kind of worried, especially when she said, in regards to Caitlin Clark bringing attention to the WNBA. She's like, people are going to remember me too, and I just thought, no, don't do that, because you'll look like a jackass, or, it's just one of those things of, let it about me, like what a little kid does. But thankfully, she's backed that up. She was an all-star this year, and, Rookie of the Year, it's going to be a toss-up between her and Caitlin Clark. I dare say, have him be co-Rookie of the Years, especially since those two are the women's answer to Magic and Bird. It really is the rebirth of that, and it's paying off dividends for the WNBA as well. Although, the WNBA attendance thing, they'll draw a lot when Caitlin Clark is playing wherever, but when she's not, that number can be as big as 10,000 extra tickets sold. But, at least they're fixing their reputation. I'll give them some credit there. Now, this fall, NBC Sports Chicago will be replaced by the Chicago Sports Network, and it will be the new home of the White Sox, Bulls, and Blackhawks, as it is a joint venture with Standard Media, which is a company out of Nashville, and will be the company's first RSN. I looked at this was a while ago, I looked at some of their resume, and Chicago Sports Network is their first regional sports network. I don't know what will happen to NBC Sports Chicago. I guess it'll just fold, because Chicago Sports Network is going to be its own separate app, which it's another thing we have to pay for. As if all the football stuff wasn't bad enough. Here you go. Now, let's talk a bit about uniforms, because I haven't done some TikToks in a while, just because some of these things I don't really have much to say, and I don't think it makes for good content, but let's break this down. The Vikings whiteout uniforms. I feel like I'm the only person on the planet who thinks they are boring. Now, why is that? Now, I do like the white helmet that they have, but the whole package reminds me of the Cardinals road uniforms. There's no numbers on the shoulders. It's all white, and you can't see much detail. There's white and silver, but silver doesn't really stand out from white. And, call me a conspiracy theorist for this one, but my biggest fear with this whiteout jersey is that it's a prequel to a Vikings rebrand. I'm just going to say this. The Vikings do not need a rebrand. Their uniforms are good as is. So I'm crossing my fingers that doesn't happen, but we'll see. The Commanders, they're actually bringing back the gold and yellow pants, which, that's neat. Too bad the uniforms are still crap. The Jaguars are bringing back their throwbacks, or I should say they're bringing in their throwbacks. So that's really neat. It was such an obvious move for the Jags to do for the longest time. And I'm going to be honest, seeing guys like Trevor Lawrence in those throwbacks, not only does it look awesome, but it also makes me realize just how plain their current uniforms are. But I'll probably touch on that in the near future. You probably know what's going to happen. And also, the Jaguars are going to be having a white alternate helmet, which they'll wear with their black jerseys. I don't know how to feel about this. I saw it. It looks very meh. That's all I'll say. It looks very meh. Maybe it'll look better in action, but who knows. Now on to hockey. Utah. Well, the names are down to Blizzards, Mammoth, Yeti, Venom, Outlaws, and Hockey Club. But for this year, they're the Utah Hockey Club. The Washington football team existed so the Utah Hockey Club could run. The only appeal is that they're only going to be in existence for 1 year. That is the only appeal. Otherwise, plain. So plain. This team went from the Kachina look as the Coyotes to this. And the color scheme, so their owner, Ryan Smith, of course, also owns the Utah Jazz. When he changed the color scheme in 2022 for the Jazz, he originally wanted to do black and white, but because San Antonio and Brooklyn exist, he had to add an extra yellow, and that's where that really bright yellow came in. And, of course, everyone hated that look, so the Jazz are changing their uniforms. Although the change isn't going to come in until 2025, which is stupid, but yeah, I'll touch on that in another video. So, here's his second attempt to have a black and white team, but he also added in this really light blue. It's an okay color scheme. I really don't know how to feel about it. It kind of makes the whole thing feel a little generic, if I'm honest. Maybe a logo, a proper logo on the front will change my mind. We'll have to wait and see. Now, in terms of other rebrands, the Kings have basically brought back their 90s look, the Gretzky era. Yeah, the logo is tweaked a little bit, but let's be honest. If you showed a normie a Gretzky jersey from, that era of the Kings and the current one, they wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And I think that was the idea. So it looks all right, but of course the Ducks one. Ooh. Now, everyone had been wanting the Mighty Duck logo to come back. I didn't mind the D logo made out of a duck foot, but a lot of people hated it, mostly because they wanted the Mighty Ducks back. Well, here they decided they'll bring the duck back, the Mighty Ducks logo, and keep their color scheme of orange, black, and gold. And I think it works. I actually think it works. Now, everyone was saying, well, why not eggplant and jade? That'd be fine, but this is definitely taking a page out of what the Brewers are doing. How they brought back their glove logo, but they kept their navy blue instead of doing the royal blue like what's usually associated with the glove logo. Yeah, that's a change that I like the most. Out of the 3 rebrands and redesigns going into the Fanatics era for the NHL, that's the one I like the most. Now, probably the best news out of this offseason for the NHL was Alex Morello backing out of Coyotes ownership, which, frankly, that alone makes the possibility of the Coyotes returning more plausible. Now, do I think it'll happen? Hard to say. It's really hard to say. I know the NHL has been open to a lot of expansion, but I don't know. I really don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Frankly, I won't be surprised if it turns out that the Coyotes never come back, but they've apparently got 5 years to do it, so we'll see what happens in 5 years. Now, I have been paying attention to Fanatics promotion videos about the jerseys, and of course, the template, it's very much still the Adidas template, which, okay, I don't mind. They don't have the dimples on the shoulders anymore like Adidas had, but apparently that was, there's some kind of law where Adidas was able to use it, but Fanatics had to smooth over it, and a lot of people are like, I miss the dimples. Definitely one of those details where, once it's gone, you don't realize how much you appreciated its existence. I don't mind. The jerseys themselves look fine. For Fanatics, especially, a company with their reputation, this is, what they've got out is pretty impressive. Now, how is the feel of them? No one knows yet. We'll see what happens. I'm curious. Apparently it is going to be different materials from what Adidas was using, although if you're expecting, at least with the retail authentics, whether it's a retail authentic or a made in Canada authentic, I wouldn't expect like Fanatics breakaway jersey quality. The logos themselves look fine. Like the Blackhawks actually got to keep their chain stitching, although they've got an ad now slapped on the front for Circa Sports, and if you didn't know what that was like I did, it's a sports book. So yay, more gambling. More gambling ads. Ugh. I could go on a whole spiel about the hypocrisy with gambling in sports, but I've only got so much time that I want to take up in this. At least the Made in Canada authentics from Fanatics will be available at general retail, so they'll be a lot easier to obtain than the Adidas authentics. I can't remember how you were able to get those, but it always seemed like you had to jump through hoops in order to get a Made in Canada authentic from Adidas, if you wanted what the players have on ice, which that was ridiculous. I saw one of their promo vids. It was with Auston Matthews. The whole time, there's Auston Matthews is wearing gloves, and there's a representative that brings out jerseys of players that that basically inspired Matthews' game. Like the first one was in Alex Ovechkin's Screaming Eagle jersey, specifically a Reebok Screaming Eagle jersey, like a Reebok Edge jersey, and it looks really good. And then the last one was a Patrick Kane Reebok jersey. I think it was a Reebok jersey, but showing off the details. And then they bring out the Maple Leafs Fanatics jersey, and one of the things with the Mitchell and Ness NHL jerseys, for like the first year when they brought them back, the logos were just printed on patches, and same with the numbers, and everyone hated them. I actually saw a Flying V one at a Sports Check when I was up there with my wife, visiting my in-laws, and it was pretty terrible. But the new ones that have been coming out, Ugly Thirds did a video on one of them, and it actually had all the stitching and the details that you would expect, especially for the prices that Mitchell and Nesses go for. And that was present on the Leafs jersey that you see this chick hand Auston Matthews. Like, it actually looks well made. Because the thing with Fanatics is, the whole mess with them and Nike with MLB this year, that one was a mix-up with both of them. This one, they can't say, oh, it was someone else, because this is something that Fanatics is only in on. They're not doing this in collaboration with another company. This is purely Fanatics. And the jerseys, what they handed Auston Matthews didn't look that bad. I don't know. I don't think it looked as bad. I don't think it looked that bad. It looks pretty good. It looks quality. Now, I also saw this other Fanatics video where they had these two guys. One was wearing a Blackhawks Fanatics jersey, and the other guy was wearing a Blues Fanatics jersey, and they were going up to people in Vegas during the draft and asking them about the jerseys. Now, whether or not these were real people or paid actors is besides the point, but it was a little cringy, especially when you see a guy folding the Blues crest, and saying, "Man, that's sturdy," or something along those lines. And it was just like, why? I know that they're doing it to shake their reputation of making crap. I get it. But surely there's other ways to go about it. In terms of jerseys that I am going to be getting this year, I do want to get the 2024-2025 City jersey, whatever it's going to be. I want to get it as Kobe White because I have been liking him ever since his rookie year. And I already have a Kobe White shirt, so I think it would be best to get a Kobe White jersey to go with it. That will be cool. I'll probably wait until the end of the season for some deals because that's just how I am. I definitely do want a Blackhawks Winter Classic jersey, whatever the heck it's going to be. Since this year they're going to be hosting it at Wrigley Field again and playing St. Louis. That's going to be cool. And I wish I could attend it, but I don't have the money for a ticket. But that would be awesome. That would be really awesome. So, yes, that's introductions. I am Windy City League, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day.